Friends, we are in the series of the gifts of the Jews, and today we are in the fourth segment, the fourth gift that Judaism gave the world, the universal world. And the gift is the gift of education. Long ago in Mesopotamia, we find different writings, and those writings, the famous one is the Epic of Gilgamesh, describes the wars between the gods. It describes different myths, and it describes different laws. But what it doesn't describe is the salvation of man through education. And there was a man who left Ur Kasdim and went to the land of Canaan, and that man is Abraham. And Abraham started a revolution of education. It all started with Genesis, and God saw that the world is good. But after a few generations, the people started to mistreat each other. And God, as the verse says, was unhappy. And it says, God regretted creating the earth. And he was very sad. And he said, let's wipe out humanity from the face of the earth. And God comes and tells Noah, my first trial of uplifting humanity and redeeming them did not succeed, and therefore let's restart. Let me wipe out humanity and send a strong message that if they do not behave, I will wipe them out again and again and again. And that's the relationship that I have with them. A master and a servant. And there's coercion. If you do not act in the way of God, I shall wipe you out. And that's how humanity is going to redeem itself. So he tells Noah, build yourself an ark, go inside, he wipes humanity. Noah comes out, and God understands all of a sudden that this trial did not succeed either. And the way of making humanity go in the ways of God and not being corrupt cannot come with coercion. And therefore he says, I shall not wipe out the land ever again. And the land shall have its cycle. I shall not interfere with the cycle of nature. But then God takes a different role. Instead of the master, he turns into the educator. And he educates man and Noah. And he tells them as follows. The one that spills the blood of man, it's as though as he spilled his own blood. Because in the image of God did I create man. And instead of commanding Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge, instead of commanding Noah to build an ark, he presents them an educational aspiration. I created you in the image, and therefore, logically, do not spill the blood of that image. And that's an educational message from God to man. Noah, instead of becoming God's partner in this educational endeavor, plants a vineyard, becomes drunk, and becomes despised and acts in a despicable way. And God says this trial did not succeed either. We're moving on. And he's looking for a man to create with him the great partnership of education. Because by God becoming the educator does not uplift man to join him in this endeavor. And therefore he's looking for a man. He finds Abraham. What's so great about Abraham? Only one verse. One verse tells us. Why did I choose Abraham? Because I knew that he has the educator in his heart. He discovered God on his own. He went and educated all his surroundings. He fought with Nimrod. He bashed his father's idols. He's an educator in his heart, and therefore with him I can join and I can create a partnership. And that's what he tells them. Abraham, I'm going to make you into a father of many nations. A father that his job is to educate. And Abraham adheres and starts educating. He accepts guests. He opens his tent up. He goes and recruits people. But not only that, he does not only become a father, he becomes a mother too. And in a very unique passage brought down by Rav Yosef Dov Soloveitchik in his book, Abraham's Journey, he says a phenomenal thing. There's a verse that says, Ve'emin ba'Hashem ve'yachshiv elo tzedakah, and he believed in God, and he considered that belief of Abraham in him to be like charity. And all the commentaries are bewildered. What does it mean that he considered the faith of Abraham to be as a grace or as charity? And Rav Soloveitchik explains as follows. The word emin, usually translated into belief, can also be translated into aman, which means to carry or to nurse. And he brings the verse from the scroll of Esther, where it says that Mordecai omen et hadasa, which means raises, educates, uplifts, and takes care of Esther, his niece. Ve'emin ba'Hashem. Abraham does not only become Av, a father, he also becomes a Em, a mother, nurturing, caring for the whole universe, for all of humanity. He takes the role not only as a father, as an educator, but also as a mother, of protecting its young. Just like a mother walks with a child, Abraham walks with the people and nurtures them and protects them. He protects Ishmael. He does not want to send them away. He protects Lot, his nephew. But the most famous case, he protects the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And then there is one of the highlights of the conversation between God and man. There's a verse that is phenomenal. God wants to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And therein, he goes back to his ancient ways. Sodom and Gomorrah are a horrible place. Horrible places. Sodom and Gomorrah is a place that under law you can rape. Under law you can not accept guests. Under law you can murder. And God says, I know only one way. And that is to destroy them. Let's start all over again. But then he remembers, hold it, there's a partnership with Abraham. We went on a journey of education. Humanity can advance with freedom of choice only through educating and through a long process of education. Am I concealing from Abraham what I am doing? How can that be? We're partners. And he reveals to Abraham his ultimate plan. Abraham springs up and says, Shofet haaretz lo yaseh mishpat. You're the judge of the universe. You shall do justice, which means we are partners. We went on a voyage of education, and therefore let's proceed. Let's see if there's something to work with. Are there 50 righteous people? Are there 10? Are there 20, 30? God says, yes, if there are 10, there's something to work with. Never mind that in the end, there weren't even 10 righteous people. So that experiment failed, or that notion of educational process failed, but Abraham brings forward the notion that if there's someone to work with, we should choose the path of education and not of destruction. The fourth gift is the gift of education. And throughout the years, the Jewish people throughout the whole world are bringing this gift of education forward. And we know that in our Torah there is a commandment to teach your children, to teach them when they walk, when they're in the house, when they're sleeping, when they're waking up in the morning. Let us finish with the ultimate example of education Abraham brings forward. I understand what I'm going to say now might sound radical to some people, but it shows you how Abraham took the level of education forward. It's not a very conservative understanding of the Torah. It is mine, but I think it comes to show the point that we're trying to get across. The ultimate educational show, if I may say, of Abrahamic educational understanding is the concept of, or the story of, the binding of Isaac. What a tense and complex type of a story. But here's my interpretation. In those times in Assyria, to sacrifice children was the norm. You must understand that. 4,000 years ago, if you wanted to please the gods, you sacrifice your child. So asking Abraham to sacrifice his child was a no-brainer for anybody in that time. But it is difficult for Abraham, that is preaching 100 years, not to sacrifice children. But it is more difficult to pass on the tradition of not sacrificing children to your children. How is Isaac going to teach his children to separate themselves from the idol worshippers and from the children sacrificers? How is he going to do that? Abraham and God say that extreme situations call for extreme measures. And the way to teach the children, or Isaac in this case, how to not carry on with this idol worshipping practice is to basically make him go through the process itself. And therefore they take him on a mountain, they bind him, and Abraham takes his knife and almost slaughters Isaac, and Isaac is wounded from the whole process. He is scarred for life. Believe you me. He is never, ever going to sacrifice his child. Because educationally, he went through a workshop, through a process where he himself is never going to sacrifice his child. That concept of idol worshiping is out of his family for good. That's how extreme Abraham took education. And until now, education is a big part, it's the bedrock, it's the creed of Judaism, and it's the gift to the whole world. So much so is that we brought to the world the first compulsory educational system. 2,000 years ago, there was a man called Yeshua ben Gamla, and he's remembered for good because the verse in the Talmud tells us Yeshua ben Gamla instituted that we should have teachers in each city and city, in each country and country, and you bring the child when he's 6 or 7 to be educated. And that's the revolution of education that started from Abraham and moved down through the generations of educating our child and believing in education, becoming a father and a mother to the child, believing in him, educating him, because that's the only way to redeem a person and to redeem humanity.